And basically, this one has been hitting the headlines the last couple of days because the J6 Commission released some body cam footage. Now, I don't know what to say about January 6th, right? But right now, the talk of the town is that the officers incited the crowd. This is the new talk of the town, that the officers incited the crowd, and that's the reason why it became violent, and that's the reason why everyone who has been arrested or jailed should be pardoned. So I wanted to watch the video so that you can see the officers' behavior, and then we can have a discussion about whether or not it would be correct for the situation. Is that okay with y'all? Is that okay with y'all in the chat? Thanks, Reps, for jumping in there. Let them know, man. Get the likes up, bro.
Yeah,
you know, I know that. See, I get it, Brix. Here's the problem. We are so interesting that people just get pulled in, right? And then for some reason they forget that they have other responsibilities, and they can hit that little thumbs up, and it means so much to us over here at Purge the BS. That's how we keep going. YouTube does not like us having real conversation about nothing. Everything's a problem right now, so we just do all the stories and see what sticks. You know what I'm saying? What sticks to your face? So
it's nasty work. So.
Very. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. I'm going to go ahead and run this clip. This is an officer body cam, and there's some. I guess I have to say, oh shoot! You know what? I gotta play the damn announcement, man. I'm sorry.
You haven't played it.
I have not played it.
I didn't want to say anything.
But before this one, because this is a very big talking thing that people are talking about right now, I got to make sure that they understand we're just purging the BS. If we see the BS, we're going to purge it, okay? It is what it is. Right. Okay. Hold on a second. I got you.
This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of another purge of the BS, sanctioned by the First Amendment. Frustration levels 0 to 100 have been authorized for use during this purge. All weapons are restricted. Government officials have not been granted immunity from the purge of the BS and should undoubtedly receive the smoke. Commencing at the sound of the gong, any and all BS, especially unnecessary goofiness, will be purged without prejudice. Police, fire, and emergency medical services will be available, but they will be busy because they too will be watching the purge of the BS.
Yes, they will.
Blessed be those who have already been victims of some BS. May God be with you all.
All right, guys. Well, here we go. Here we go. So we're going to talk about this January 6th situation. If I see some BS from either side and all sides, we're going to identify it. Like I said, the conversation right now is it was a setup, and that the people they should all be freed because they weren't wrong about how they responded to the officer. So let's see how the officers worked. I wasn't there, so this is all I got.
DC Metropolitan Police officers show up on the east side of the Capitol. They are the first to bring in explosive ammunition rounds that they will soon distribute to officers on the West Plaza. Officer Tara Tyndall is
now at this point, nothing violent has happened. It's just people standing around.
On-scene Commander Officer Robert Glover gives the first audible
this music is
to deploy explosives into the crowd.
Just throwing shit out there.
Stingbar deployed! Stingbar deployed! Stingbar deployed!
Damn.
Yeah, at this point, everybody's just kind of standing there, though. Now just really quickly, because I don't know what the initial setup was, but aren't you allowed to just stand somewhere and protest? Like, isn't that allowed by one of the amendments? Right to nonviolent protest or something like that?
Yeah, from what I know.
Okay, so is standing in front of the Capitol allowed?
I believe it is.
I would say it is. So if they're not
our Capitol.
Right. So if they're not necessarily trying to push their way in, I don't know if we should be at the point of using munitions to disperse the crowd unless the crowd's just not allowed to be there. That's a different thing. Like if you need a permit to be here and we need this crowd to disperse, that's a whole different thing. But it doesn't look like the officers who were on the front were trying to get anybody to leave. They were just standing there. Then this guy just kind of starts throwing stuff. So I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something.
Receipts
on
that, but I can tell you, if you get hit in the head with one of those, it's probably gonna ruin your
Hell
day.
yeah, that thing is metal or something. It look heavy. It's got to have some weight in order to make it a long distance. So I don't know. So let's give it. You know, this is a 4-minute clip, but we're gonna go through it because everybody's saying that this clip is showing that the people should be all innocent and the officers should be held accountable for the insurrection. So I just want to see if that's what we see.
Chucking grenades at us.
At 1:32 p.m., an officer laments that chucking grenades into the crowd is just going to make things worse.
It's just gonna make it worse. Hey, stop! Hold on!
Moments later, the same officer seems to have changed his mind and is actively searching for munitions to discharge in the crowd.
I'm coming out with smoke. That's a burner, by the way.
It means it's got heat in it. And they're throwing them back is what's happening if they don't go off. They're throwing them right back. Oh,
I need triple chasers.
And now, so
After not
far,
receiving approval to use the triple
I'm not
chase-
seeing the crowd rushing them, though. Like, I just see them all standing there and they're just kind of throwing stuff in there. I don't know. Am I missing something? Because I thought this was, they stormed the Capitol. This doesn't look like a storm. This looks like a puddle. I don't know. I wasn't there. Just saying. Looks very puddle-like. Just a bunch of people pooled in front of a building. Like, you could pee on them. You know? I don't know. So I'm going to let it finish. I'm going to let it finish. I'm going to let it
Officer
finish.
Thao appears to be reprimanded by another officer for his use of smoke moments earlier.
I got a triple chaser on hold. Yeah. I know, but this is triple chaser. I know, but this splits it. I mean, we got
It's a burning munition. She just said don't do that. This thing is throwing it anyway.
Another captain tells Officer Thao to hold on discharging CS gas into the crowd.
What else you got? Triple chasers? No. More sting balls. And this
All right, so it's made out of rubber, apparently. It's a heavy rubber.
You're 43 on the north side of High Street. Very large crowd coming down High Street. 51, I need you here, please.
So are they trying to get people to go home?
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie, I'd have been scared as shit if I was the police. There's a lot of people down there. Didn't sign up for this. That's a lot of people. All right, we got 1 more minute of this. 1 more minute.
CS, that's it.
And now they got tear gas.
Keep going.
I mean, he dropped that one. Run! Oh, he picked it up. All right, well, they're visibly upset. They're visibly upset.
He's supposed to be strong.
Yeah, this looks like South Park right now.
We represent blue lives, and this is what they do to us.
If they'd never thrown the concussion grenades, if they'd never used the pepper spray, this wouldn't have happened. It was a peaceful protest. I was standing within 15 feet of the line of officers. They started firing at us before anybody did anything to them. We were not rushing them. There was no advance on them. They just started throwing concussion grenades and pepper spray.
Okay, well, guys, that is the story that is now running the headlines as far as...
What does that have to do with going in the office and shitting on desks and all that?
Well, apparently what they're trying to say is by doing all of that concussion grenade throwing and pepper spraying and shit, it incited the people to get angrier, and they did actually storm the Capitol. So initially they were
This
just
is
standing.
what black folks deal with at every car stop. Somebody
Yeah.
trying to piss you off, and well, we just go to jail. Like,
But see, that's the thing about it is, for me, it's like if you're entitled to peaceful protest, even if you're loud as hell, because they were loud, but if they weren't advancing, then maybe they shouldn't have thrown anything at them. I mean, I don't know, because like I said, I don't know if their job out there at the time was to get them to go home or just make sure that they didn't get out of line and try to storm the damn place. Because if it was the second one, then yes, some of those younger MAGA supporters are not going to be for getting hit in the head with a damn rubber ball without either throwing it back or trying to, start a situation. So I think that might have incited some people, and we all know that it wasn't everybody that went in that Capitol. So I don't know. I'm just looking at
why
it.
this argument doesn't hold any weight for me, because they stormed the Capitol and not the people that were oppressing them. These officers throwing them with the grenades. Like, that's who's pissing you off.
Right.
So it looks good, but I mean, I understand why anybody would be angry to the next level, because it reminds me of Jerry Springer producers. But at the same time, okay, this guy's hitting you in the head with a grenade and you went that way, and now you blaming it on him?
I see what you're saying.
You shit on a desk and you went to jail for that?
Well, not everyone shat upon the desk. That's what I'm saying. To be fair, there were some very bad actors. Then there was just people who were out there, spectators as I call them. They weren't really doing nothing. They were just around that made that big ass crowd. Because that big ass crowd did not get in the Capitol. It was a very limited number of people that actually went in that building. But what the mainstream narrative is that they went from spot one and walked down to the Capitol and stormed it. Not that there was like a sort of
That's not what happened.
But that's not what happened. What happened was they were there. I'm not going to say chilling, because that ain't chilling, but they weren't wilding either. At the point in what I can see, they're standing there. They got their signs. They're yelling "F you" or whatever. They're just talking shit, which is not against the law, unless they wanted to be on some "this is private property and y'all can't be here and we need to disperse this crowd for that." But if the protest is allowed,
they had those gates up at one point, and people started moving the gates, but there were also police officers that were moving those gates as well.
Right.
Which is weird.
And that's what's making the whole thing like questionable. Is there's officers that were like in the crowd and they were in the building, and so there's a lot of gray area. But the main thing that I'm trying to figure out is, were these officers justified in throwing the concussion grenades and all of that if the protest, from what I saw at that point, was peaceful? So the only reason they'd have to throw that is if they're looking at it like you're on private property and you got to get off of this property. And so we need to disperse this crowd for that purpose. And then I guess they're well within their rights to start throwing concussion grenades, pepper spray, smoke, whatever the hell they got to do. But if it's a peaceful protest and they're technically and legally allowed to be there, I don't think throwing those things into the crowd and they haven't rushed you is a smart idea when you got, 5,000 people standing in front of you and maybe 100 officers. They're greatly outnumbered. And they can't use deadly force. They're not allowed to use guns and stuff. They were easily overrun once that crowd got pissed off. So the question is it their fault that the crowd got pissed off, or was the crowd going to do that anyway? That's what the discussion is. Is it their fault for pissing them off, or were they already just pissed off and they were going to do it anyway, and it wouldn't have mattered if the officers were throwing stuff at them or not? So
I mean, what ultimately is the outcome from doing from this story?
Well,
for them, like, are they trying to get these police officers in trouble, or?
No, I think it's more about making sure that everybody who was involved in this January 6th thing gets released on the pardons. Because right now, I think it's only the ones who were non-violent in their, so they just got like trespassing or, something lower in like that. There was a few people that either pushed, punched, kicked, did things like that to officers, and they're in there for much longer periods of time. And that's who they're trying to get freed by saying they wouldn't have been doing all that if these officers weren't throwing grenades and shit at them while they were just standing in front of the Capitol. So, like I said, I'm still trying to figure out, were they even allowed to be there, which is what changes my perspective. If they're allowed to be there, then no, we don't want to throw grenades and stuff at them. That's not a good idea. But if they weren't supposed to be there in the first place, then yeah, you got to disperse the crowd. And, you know, maybe they needed more help, but that's their job as the police, is to disperse that crowd that's not supposed to be there. So I don't know, man.
Sounds a lot like the civil rights movement.
It does. It does.
When they were getting their skin peeled with fire hoses and rocks and dogs.
And those things were then outlawed.
But there was no fight to get them out.
Right. So
and they just wanted a little bit of freedom.
A little bit of freedom. Just a taste. Just a taste of it.
They wanted to eat the white pies.
So I'm wondering, like with the officers, and I think Lisa Atkins said it best, is that the officers probably need to be retrained. Because I do see that there's only one or two at best that decided, let's start throwing shit out in this crowd. It doesn't seem like it was a whole...
It wasn't a group decision.
Yeah, it wasn't a group decision. It was like certain people were just scared they weren't going to... Hey, Reps, thanks for stopping in, too. I know you got to get out of here, but thanks for stopping in today.
Yeah,
appreciate all your support. And I think the police officers that were scared they weren't going to make it home, they just kind of started freaking out and wanted the crowd to stop.
This reeks of George Soros, bro. I got to be honest.
Yeah, but Soros is the police?
No. But it reeks of something that he would do. Like, why would you start throwing rubber grenades at a group of people just standing there?
That's what I'm saying. It seems like they were just scared that the inevitable bull rush was coming and they were trying to disperse the crowd. That's what it looks like to me. Because I'm thinking, all right, you got about 5,000 people standing in front of you. And when they came down here, the mandate was, let's go down to the Capitol and tell them how we feel. Like, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but that was, they knew they were coming, is what I'm saying. So when they got there, they were already standing there. And now we've got this huge crowd in front of us. And it's like, okay, so what do we do now? We need them to go home, or do we just let them stand there? I think they should have just let them stand there. And I that's my feeling. I know concussion grenades and all that kind of stuff are supposed to be not lethal. So it's a non-lethal way of dealing with things. But you know what? I just feel like maybe they should have allowed I don't want to say allowed the crowd, but waited for them to do more than just stand there before throwing stuff into it. You know, I don't know.
People have to remember, the government is not in charge of the people. The people are in charge of the government. That's where this is all messed up. Those people were protesting. That's fine. They came down there to talk,
right,
and yell and tell how they felt. And that's that. But it's right now is what you're witnessing is a government that feels like it's in charge of the people.
Right.
No, you were just voted in to make the decisions for us.
Right.
But you're not in charge of us.
Right.
And
you're
that's
just
the problem.
A mouthpiece. You're just,
that's it.
A representative of us, so to speak.
That's it.
And so, like I said, they're going to be going into this thing. I know Trump is going to pardon a bunch of people on his first day, which is, next week. So I'm sure he'll be doing his thing when he gets in. But I guess the conversation now is he going to pardon everybody or just some people? And this conversation in this video is being used to say he should pardon everybody because they were incited by the police and they weren't doing this just because they're bad people. That's pretty much what they're saying. So, I mean, we're gonna see where it goes. We're gonna see where it goes, how it goes.
Got some spotty apples, but yeah,
ain't that true?
I get it.
It doesn't take but 4 or 5 people to start wilding out in a crowd before it becomes total chaos, man. You've been in a bar or at a club or event or something like that, and it just be one little group of people start wilding out, and before you know it, it's
more
people,
fun.
right? You know what I'm talking about. People start getting thrown everywhere. There's chairs flying over. It just gets crazy. And I feel like that might have been what happened at the Capitol that day. Now, the funny part is I didn't see a lot of brown faces in that crowd. So it was very interesting to watch this group versus that group.
Get treated like brown people.
Yeah, pretty much. And I didn't want to say that because, they'd get mad when we're too real on these forums here. So
nah, I recognize when people are being treated like brown people. You can see it right there.
Yeah. So we'll see. Like I said, we'll see what Trump does. Me personally, I feel like if you didn't, do anything violent or go shitting on the desk, and even shitting on the desk is just destruction of property. Like, you shouldn't even be there that long. So, if you did those things, yes, you should have some penalty for it. But what we also know is those charges, those are regular people. They got to go deal with regular jobs, and regular companies don't hire people with charges on their background. And that's the reason why